Hey, good evening, and welcome to what should be an exciting week. And the reason that I say that it's exciting is not because we're going to spend a lot of time talking about imperialism, although that really is exciting and controversial. But this is the last week before you get to take some time off with spring break. So you're almost there, but you're not there yet. And the two assignments you got to do this week are important to maintain your good grade that you've got in this class, or to improve in a grade if you're not where you need to be. So a couple of things, and I really hope you pay attention to this video because there's a lot of good stuff in here that, well, sorry, I say there's a lot of good stuff because it's me talking, but a lot of important stuff that's in here is going to help you do well in your assignments this week. So let me just kind of jump into it. And I think the first thing I want to do is I just want to tell you about imperialism through what you're going to look at this week, which is, um, why did we do this? And when I say why did we, America plays a huge role in imperialism, whether it's through the Spanish-American War, the conquest, if you will, of Hawaii, and just the Philippines. You've got Cuba. You have all of these things in which you see America, as well as Great Britain and other countries, trying to assert themselves. And I mean, it's really nothing new in the history books, right? I mean, if you go back to early on when the New World was discovered, when what will later be called America was discovered, France, England, Spain, they all competed, right? It was a form of imperialism. They took over this area of the world to have power, because the more land that you have, the better chance you have to have more money, more authority, and so that's why you want it. Same thing in as we get into this part of world history. Now, there's a passage that you'll look at by Rudyard Kipling, and some people can see it as controversial. Some people honestly don't know anything about it, but I think it's important, and it's called White Man's Burden. And when you look at that, and it was written, of course, by Rudyard Kipling, but it exhorts Americans to basically go and capture the Philippines. And you think, okay, well, what's the burden in that? Well, the burden was that in Kipling's eyes, it wasn't that Americans, or anybody really in general, conquering other lands. It wasn't that they were doing this to receive wealth or power or dominion, but that it was a burden. It was a calling. It was a responsibility. It was, something that, you know what a burden is. It's something you have to carry. And Kipling is basically saying to Americans, and also to the British as well, whether it's in India or, the Americans in the Philippines, like, you've got to do this. And the reason you have to do this is you have to help the non-whites, because they don't have the education to be successful. They don't have the ability to make it work. And so it's your burden to go over there and help them. You're not doing it for power or money or glory, but you're doing it because you are better off and you need to help them be better off. That was Kipling's view. Now, later on, what you'll see is there is a response to that that's called the black man's burden. And the black man's burden is basically, saying that and it could be a non-native, right, or a non-white person, that their burden is the white people coming over and trying to, quote, help individuals. And, they said that's not what they're doing. They're coming in to take over. They're coming in to take our land, take our goods, gain power, and it actually hurts us instead of helps us. So you'll start to see contrasting opinions as it relates to whether it's good or whether it's bad. And after your readings, well, you'll have to make that decision. Exactly, how good was it? How bad was it? And if you think about it, in today's society, we still do this today, right? Um, if you want to put a play on it, it's like we go over to help. I think the latest crisis would probably be Taiwan, in China, and or Ukraine. No, that's probably the better one, right? Ukraine. Is it America's burden? Is it Great Britain's burden that we go and help the Ukrainians against the terrible monster, the Soviet Union, or excuse me, Russia today? Is that our burden? Is that what we carry because we are a developed nation? Is that something we must do or should do? And if you look at it, what's the real reason we're doing it? Is it for wealth, power, or is it to help them develop civilization? There's a lot there, right, to digest and to figure out. So I'll leave that there for you to kind of debate and you to figure out. So the second thing that I wanted to share with you is you're doing part two of your research project. And this is a key part to the assignment, because this is you using articles, resources that you find that's going to be helpful. Now, I want to kind of show you what an annotated bibliography is, because trust me, if you don't do it this way, you're going to suffer and your grade's going to be really, really bad. But if you do it this way, your grade's going to be really, really, really good. So if you want like a solid grade in this assignment, follow this instructions and you'll be good. So an annotated bibliography is basically alphabetized, ding, ding, ding. It's an alphabetized list of sources on a given topic. So you're going to go through and find research. You're going to find, 5 sources that you need in your annotated bibliography, or 5 articles, and you're going to alphabetize them. And so after you have the citation in APA or MLA format, you're then going to give the annotation of that. You're going to use a paragraph to describe the source that you're using and how it's going to be helpful for you. How long should the annotation be? It's usually about 250 words. Okay, it's usually 5 to 6 well-written sentences, but 250 words for each annotation will help you. Now, I've given you what you need to do. You need to summarize the source. What is the source about? I'm not going to read every article that you guys submit, but I'm going to read your annotated bibliography, and your bibliography is going to give me the gist of the article. And if I'm interested in that article, then I have your information to go back to help me find that article, to read it, and to truly understand it. So you do a quick summary of it. And then you need to evaluate the source's credibility. Is this something that we can use? Is this something that really is the person credible? Is he a professor? Is he a scholar? Or is it just Joe Blow on the internet who created his own website and he's writing whatever he wants to write? What's the credibility to it? And how are you going to use this in your argument? How are you going to really make this apply to what it is that you're talking about? How does it prove your point about your person being the greatest, most important person in world history, and something we need to pay attention to? So that's what you're doing in those 250 words to fully understand how the source works. You need to use college level sources. NC Live is a great place that the college allows you to be a part of. Has a collection of articles that you can find. Please make sure it's not Wikipedia. That's not good for your research. But trust me, with the internet nowadays, you can find some good sources that are .edu or .org, .gov. Those are really good resources in your person. Since you're doing a figure, you should not have a hard time finding scholarly resources. Another hint that I'll give you, which is really great, is called Google Scholar. Type in Google Scholar. It's a whole new world of Google that's for academic work. I use it a lot in some of my writings and research and things. It's very helpful. Now, let me give you just quick the good, the bad, and the ugly on how to do this. So if you want to do it right, remember, follow these instructions. So number 1, this right here that I've highlighted is a bad it's a bad annotation. Don't do this. Now, the citation is perfect. That's great. It's really good. But look what I got here. The book provides an overview of the history of Vietnam. So what? That doesn't do anything for me. That's not going to be a good annotation. So do not do that. If you've got something that looks similar to this, go back and redo it. If you want a good one, here's a good one. My source is still, my citation is still the same. There's my citation. Perfect the way that it's formulated. This is actually a book. An article would not have the publisher here, but it would have the journal article and number and pages. Okay. And you can find that information by doing a search like Purdue OWL, MLA citation, or APA citation. So here's my summary. Now look at this. This book written by, so we know what kind of source it is. It's a book or an article, whatever. It's written by a professor of East Asian Studies at Penn State. Do you think that guy's credible? Yeah. I mean, he's a professor at Penn State, large university, and he's a professor of East Asian Studies, which is Vietnam, so going to be very, very helpful. It provides, here's summarizing what the book does. Now look, this is what he's trying to say. This is his kind of like thesis. This is, and it's important for us to convey this is what the book really details. Now, is it credible? Once again, here's another resource for credible. He does a lot of research on his own and provides in notes to show the research that he did. And finally, it's a starting point to learn about Vietnam, so it's going to help us. Right there. That's what each one should look like. You'll do 5 of them. That's what they should look like. Do them like that. You're going to be perfect. Okay? So I hope that this helps in many ways. I look forward to hearing from you and reading, like I said, last week. Give it your very best so we can enjoy a good week of spring break. Okay? Have a great week. Talk to you soon. Go out and do something great for someone.